are both approximately the same style of V8. They are actually coming from past generations of the same development. Chevrolet just breathes a little bit more. It uses a pump configuration that's slightly different, but they're all 161 cubic inch engines. They all develop between 750, 800 horsepower. The Chevrolet engine will turn 12,500 RPM when it's running at its peak. That is really turning.
Andretti in car number 6 is currently running second. His father, Mario, out of the race after striking the parked car of Roberto Guerrero right in about this area of the racetrack. Now, there you see the gap between Michael and the leader, car 2, Al Jr. There's Unser. There's Michael Andretti running second. Fittipaldi, the pole sitter, is running third as they come off that lightning-fast straightaway on Lakeshore Boulevard. Michael Andretti is steadily gaining on Al Jr.
Exactly what I was going to mention. He was 5 seconds back about 3 laps ago. He has closed 3 seconds down in those 3 laps, averaging about a second a lap. But now, certainly Al Unser Jr. sees him and will begin to readjust his pace. When Al is running alone out in front, while it appears that he's still very fast, he's still running laps at 104 or so miles an hour, he can relax just a little bit. That relaxation may only be in microseconds, but it does slow the car down a little bit on a total lap time and allows second place to catch up.
Michael perhaps had a confidence problem. He's led every race with the exception of Portland, yet has not won this year. You probably know him as well as anyone.
No, Michael never has. He's from an Italian family. They don't have confidence problems. Michael is, in fact, when you consider it, and I said this to him a week ago, I said, you may be at this moment driving the best racing of anybody on the circuit. And he agreed with me. He said, I feel very good about what I'm doing. I just can't get the car to the checkered flag.
Car 4 is 3-time Indy champion Rick Mears, who's currently in 7th place. And our leader, Al Unser, is about to lap Rick Mears. Mears again running 7th. Unser the leader, followed by Andretti, Fittipaldi, Sullivan, Rahal, Fabi, Mears, Boycell, Pruitt, and Barbazza rounding out the top 10.
What we have at the front of the field with Al Unser Jr. and Michael Andretti is once again 2 longtime friends. Second-generation drivers. They came to the racetracks in their diapers. They played with one another, you know, sitting down at the end of the pits back in the unrestricted areas. They play in the sand and dirt as they grew up together. They've raced each other in go-karts and everything else that you can imagine. They know each other perfectly. They love to race with one another. Al Unser Jr. having a little trouble getting around Rick Mears, who is not anxious to be lapped.
As Paul Page pointed out earlier, an accident Saint-Air, Quebec in 1984, severely injuring the ankles and feet of Rick Mears, so he does prefer oval racing. He's a good road course driver. In fact, holds the record of 4 consecutive road course victories set back in 1981, and also is the only driver to win on every road course in one season.
Well, in the IndyCar season, the PPG IndyCar World Series is not only the individual fights, such as here in Toronto, but is the season-long fight for the championship. Mears felt that if he would be where he is right now with regard to points, when they go to the ovals next, because they go to 2 500-mile races, he would be in great shape to win the championship. He's still feeling very confident about this season.
Don't forget, Fittipaldi has won 4 races this year. Rick Mears, about to be passed by Al Unser Jr., has won 2. We'll return live to Toronto right after this.
This is a research laboratory. It tries and fails to make Castrol motor oil break down. It's the place where Castrol is torture tested to meet the requirements of those who punish motor oil the most. You. The everyday Canadian driver. Castrol XLR, the oil engineered for today's cars.
Olympic stain dealers are always learning. After all, they have to know a lot, like exactly which product's going to be right for your job, what goes into Olympic that makes it protect so well, and how to help you get great-looking results. In fact, once you learn how much these guys know about Olympic stain, you just might see them in a whole new light. So go see an Olympic dealer. These guys are smart.
As we come back live, really the best fight is between Ray Hall and Danny Sullivan. Bobby Rahal is all over Danny Sullivan. There's Sullivan in car 1. Rahal, car 18, the Craco Lola Cosworth. The Penske PC-18 Chevrolet of Sullivan goes through the corner first. He is currently running 4th, Rahal running 5th, and Paul Page.
And Rahal gets held up. Dominic Dobson was aware that one car was there, but he was not aware that, look, Rahal is mad. He knows that he got cut off from a good battle. Finally, he gets past Dominic Dobson. I think Dobson only recognized that the first car was there, didn't know that Rahal was there. All of this work that Rahal has done for the past 10 laps or so just went out the window.
You saw Rahal raise his fist as Dobson held him up. He was all over Danny Sullivan. There's our race leader, Al Unser Jr., the defending champion here at the Molson Indy, and a winner this year in Long Beach, California, as his wife looks on.
That's Shelley Hunter. She worries herself to death. She's extremely competitive. She worries, she prays, she shouts, she cheers. She really loves to watch her husband race.
Paul, I guess the biggest change so far occurred during that section when the leaders all pitted. Sullivan was leading at the time. He's currently running 4th, and I would imagine we have to start thinking pit stop again very soon.
Well, I think we are probably within 5 laps of the pit stops. We should see some of the back markers in the field start to make their stops here shortly, and that will clear for a tremendous pit battle. Now let's just consider this. Al Unser Jr. is the leader of the race. He is a mere 3 seconds ahead. In fact, the interval is closed as they just flashed across the line to a little under 2 seconds ahead of Michael Andretti. Well, that time could be made up in the pits. The nice thing about this form of racing is that for an interval there during the pit stop, the driver relinquishes the entire race to the skill of the pit crew. There have been times, it happened to Bobby Rahal 2 years ago at the Meadowlands, in which he came into the pits in second place. The crew did such a superlative job that he left the pits in the lead of the race. Will that happen? Well, in very few laps we may find out as the battle turns away from the drivers and to the Gallus team and to the team of Michael Andretti. Kevin Cogan makes a stop as his crew goes to work on the car.
Kevin Cogan was the man who crashed into that ABC camera, one of the great racing shots of all time during this year's Indy 500. Michael Andretti is running second to Al Unser Jr., and into the pits comes Michael Andretti. Let's go down to Ken Daniels.
Thank you, Brian. We are going to keep a clock now on Michael Andretti's pit stop as they will change front and back tires, all 4, as well as take on fuel. The clock on Michael Andretti is coming up to the 10-second mark. 16 seconds is a good pit, and they're still waiting to put in the fuel, and away he goes. And a good time of 15 seconds even for Michael Andretti. 14 seconds for Michael Andretti.
Really a superlative stop for the Andretti team. They've done a nice job. That Newman-Haas organization, that is a blistering fast stop. I hope that they got all of the fuel in. Apparently they did, or they certainly wouldn't have let the car go. And they stopped a little bit earlier than I would have expected. We've seen a range of about 35 laps on a fuel tank. They stopped at the 70th lap. They have to go to the 103rd lap. They're running a little bit harder in racing action, so he may be on fumes by the time he gets to the end of the race.
Right now, Michael Andretti has dropped down with that pit stop to the number 5 position. Here's your leader, Al Unser Jr. Fittipaldi is now second, yet to pit. Sullivan third, yet to pit. Rahal, also yet to pit, is running 4th. And, of course, our leader, Al Jr., has yet to come into the pits. Now through 71 out of 103 laps in the 1989 Molson Indy, Al Unser Jr., the defending champion, is the leader. However, he has yet to pit. The top Canadian, the only Canadian still in this race, is car 65. That is John Jones, running in the number 14 position. Scott Goodyear from Willowdale, Ontario, as we look at Emerson Fittipaldi running second. Goodyear from Willowdale, Ontario, was in the top 10 for Mackenzie and Hemmelgarn when he ran out of fuel. The other